15 hours ago, there was a news article that record labels have joined forces against Groove Shark. Big frickin' surprise. This has actually been going on for a very, very long time. A couple of quotes here for you that you might enjoy or perhaps cringe at. Quote from 1982 from the MPAA president, Jack Valenti. We are now faced with a new and troubling assault on our fiscal security, on our very economic life, and we are facing it from a thing called the video cassette recorder. That was the rabble-rousing around the VHS in 1982, claiming that this would kill the film industry. It didn't. How about this one in 1982? When the manufacturers hand the public a license to record at home, not only will the songwriter tie a noose around his neck, not only will there be no more records to tape, but the innocent public will be made accessory to the destruction of 4 industries. That was from ASCAP in 1982. Did it happen? No. How about this one? From the wonderful Hillary Rosen of the Organization of Criminals, RIAA, the Recording Industry Association of America, a large lobbyist and protection group for the major labels. It was in 1998. Diamond's product Rio, which was an MP3 player I might add, was destined to undermine the creation of a legitimate digital distribution marketplace. Did it? No. This continues to happen, and it's large companies and corporations trying to protect their dinosaur business model. And why? This is what it really comes down to. Why are they doing all of this stuff? Do you really think it's just about piracy? Do you really think they're stupid enough to believe that this will actually work? No. This is not about piracy. This is about censorship. And you might think, well, that's a wingnut theory. No, think about this for a second. So we're talking about the idea of free speech, and we're talking about the idea of free and independent promotion of products. This is the thing. This is how corporations tend to maintain their dominance. Marketing and a stranglehold on the channels of promotion. An example would be payola on the radio, which was the practice of paying for placement of songs on radio stations, which I might add was made illegal, but it still happened anyway. You ever heard of the phrase, you gotta spend money to make money? That's pretty much what happens when it comes to mass marketing. You bombard every possible channel with your product. And by channel, I'm not just talking about television, I'm talking about multimedia methods. We're talking about YouTube, we're talking about Facebook, all kinds of internet marketing, television, books, magazines, billboards, everything you can imagine. However, over the past few years, new avenues have been created whereby smaller independent companies can promote their products. If we want to give an example really close to home, what the hell do you think WTF actually is? WTF is. It's a simple answer. It's a way for indie companies to actually get people to look at their product, whereas otherwise they might not be able to. It's a small part of what I would now consider to be marketing for indie games. Now, obviously, it's an independent form of marketing. I might hate the game. But here's the thing. It gives indie companies, indie developers, a voice that they might not have otherwise had to, say, a lot of people. I mean, your average WTF video gets a minimum of 100,000 views. 100,000! A few years ago, that would be absolutely unheard of for an indie title. There would be no way of that happening. None. And that's just one of many examples of where independent companies, not only in gaming but everywhere else, are breaking through as a result of alternative forms of marketing that are not directly controlled by major corporations. That is a good thing for competition, that is a good thing for innovation, consumer variety, consumer fairness and rights, and the industry in general. It makes the industries more vibrant. It makes the industries more creative, more innovative, and of course, forces the larger companies to work a little bit harder. Thinking, hey, you know what? The same run-of-the-mill tripe might just not be good enough for us. Now, what happens if YouTube gets shut down? Who do you think hurts more from that? Do you think that the music industry really cares? They've been fighting against YouTube for ages. Viacom has had a massive lawsuit going on against YouTube for a very long time. Viacom is a massive umbrella corporation. It covers a wide variety of different forms of media. And they are not the only one. The music industry has tried to sue them before. The fact of the matter is that, yes, while there is infringement going on, I view that as less important than the fact that YouTube is used as a platform to promote music that is not under the direct control of the Big Four. That's something to consider. Works the same with television companies, works the same with film, works the same with gaming. Bear in mind that Activision are sponsoring this bill. Let's think about that. Activision are sponsoring this bill. What do they happen to own? Oh yes, only the biggest FPS franchise at the moment. What would they love to see continue? It being the biggest FPS franchise. What would they love to stop happening? Competition from being actively promoted. Yes, indeed they would. And that's simple logic. It is corporate censorship. That's what it is. What does it stop? Pretty much everything you can imagine. We're talking about Let's Play content. If you enjoy that, that's gone. Review content. And you might say, well, that's protected under fair use, so that's not a problem, right? It's a bit of a problem if they take down the entire sodding website that you're hosting it on. And think about that. This isn't just a surgical removal of content. This is a mass tactical nuclear strike on pretty much everything that you enjoy. That's something that you should seriously be considering. And you might think, oh, it's a slippery slope argument. No, it's not. There is a prime example. Let's just go back to what I said before, the removal of that mega upload song. This is not a slippery slope. This is happening right now. It's been happening for a while. That is obvious and incontrovertible evidence. It is there. It is happening. It is what companies want. SOPA is a bad deal for everyone, as is Protect IP. Do not forget about that. There are a lot of people arguing that SOPA is deliberately extreme so that they can then push forward on the back of it Protect IP, which is slightly less extreme but nonetheless damaging. Think, oh, SOPA's crazy. Let's push through this. This is a much nicer bill. Oh, okay, that's a nicer bill. We're going to pass that. No, it's not. Protect IP is just as bad. Needless to say, this is a large and very complex bill, and I've only covered certain facets of it here in a very simplistic manner so that hopefully people can actually understand it. And for God's sake, the congressman can't even understand it. That's how complicated this sodding thing actually is. But the fact of the matter is, this could result in the removal of pretty much any site on the internet that could potentially host copyrighted content, which means the end of YouTube, means the end of every video streaming site, and more to the point, it kills future innovation. Because, let's be honest, if we talk about this extreme example of removing YouTube, that's going to cause a massive outcry, yeah? They probably won't do that. What they will be able to do is take down significant parts of it, and censorship on YouTube and the blocking of content will be far more commonplace because they've got wider-ranging powers to do it. But here's the thing. Here's what you really got to be worried about. What about the next YouTube? What about the next technological innovation? What about that innovation that doesn't get the investment that it requires to actually get going because this rule, these laws, are so strict that investors are too scared? Indeed, there is actually a quote here. I'm using this Tech Dirt article because it's very, very good indeed. This is a quote from an article on Booz & Co., and this is very much about investment and financial opportunities, so-called angel investors and venture capitalists. They say they will stop funding some internet startup business models if these rules are enacted. Why? Because it's too risky. They were talking about needing a 13 times to 20 times return on investment in order to make the risk worthwhile. So you've got a lot of potential tech startups that could change the world that simply will not happen if this rule is put into place, if these laws are enacted. It's called secondary liability, the idea that you are liable for the actions of another on your service. It's the idea of abolishing the safe harbor laws in order to punish any company that even has the means. And that's the thing. You know, the potential, the system whereby copyright infringement could happen. Everything can have copyright infringement on it. That should terrify you. Now, if you want to read more on SOPA, there is a list of useful links in the description below this video. As I said, I've only covered certain parts of this bill. It is very complex, and you should definitely read about it. There are a ton of people who are much better at explaining it than I am. But the point of this video was to actually make sure that you guys are aware that this is happening, and this is dangerous. So how can you help? The debate over SOPA will be resuming on the 21st of this month. Now, do not get fooled by the articles that said, oh, victory, it's not going to happen until next year. No, actually, it's going to be happening on the 21st. That's when everything resumes. So that was a bit of bait and switch right there. Once more, tricky dealings by Congress. What can you do? Well, if you're American, you can write to your representative, and indeed you should do that. There are many ways to contact your representative. Go and find out who he is if you don't already know that, or who she is. Go and contact them. Email them, write to them, fax them, call them. Just take 5 minutes of your time in order to express your concerns. Because you know what? If representatives do hear from a significant portion of their constituents, yes, they will actually do something. They will. The fact of the matter is, a lot of these guys are only hearing one side of the argument right now, and that is the lobbyist side of things. They're not hearing from the public opposing it. You have to do so. If you don't have the time, then of course you can just simply sign a petition. There are several petitions on this subject. I've put some in the description below this video. And that's just a nice, easy way of saying, hey, I'm one of these guys. I support this cause. I oppose this bill. If you are outside of the US, you can still get involved in letting people know about this bill, as well as signing up to various petitions and just writing your concerns in. There are various sites that allow you to do that. Even if you're not a US citizen, it's like, hey, guys, you are pissing off the world here. This is kind of a big deal. You should probably stop doing that. Now, I've taken up too much of your time already, but just let me make this absolutely clear. You're talking about the destruction of new media as we know it. And apparently you guys like that because you keep watching my videos, you keep watching the videos of many other YouTube partners. We are a small part of your life and hopefully a very enjoyable part of your life as well. And that is a part of your life that could potentially disappear if this bill ends up going through. And don't make any assumptions about this bill. This bill is real, this bill is bad, and this bill is not going to go away unless it is buried in the ground forever. Thank you for listening, and I will see you next time.